Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, the draft is over. We have our players. We are going to start filling out the roster. We picked up our undrafted free agents. But before we get into all that, I kind of wanted to go back and address the Leonard Williams situation. All right, the Leonard Williams situation is done. It is what it is. We've traded for the man. The draft is over. There's no other reason to pontificate what we could have had with the third round pick. And, so he's good or bad, right or wrong, he is on the team. My issue with Leonard Williams is you sign your tender, and then the first thing you do is you file a $1.7 million grievance against the Giants because you want to be paid as a defensive end instead of a defensive tackle. Now, Leonard Williams, of course, was with the New York Jets. He was at a USC back in 2015. I believe he was 6th overall. In the last 5 years, though, was he the generational talent, for the Jets? No, he had one good season in 17 where he made the Pro Bowl. He only has 17 and a half career sacks, and last year total between the Giants and the Jets, he only had a total of 46 tackles and half a sack. And the Giants designated him as a defensive end at $16.1 million. And Williams is arguing that he is they designate him as a defensive tackle at $16.1 million. But Williams is arguing he is a defensive end that would be a tag number of 17.8. Oh, Leonard, this is probably one of the reasons why the Jets wanted to get rid of you. Your ego is bigger than your talent. Leonard Williams is a good player. On a good team and on a good defense, he is probably a good to very good player. On a team like the Giants, he's going to be an okay player. He has his weaknesses. He has his flaws in reference to the rush. He can play the run well. Yes, definitely. We're not going to get into what he really brought to our defense because I think we've beaten that horse pretty much dead because of the fact that, like I said, our defense only improved a half a yard a carry and only had a negative 3-yard difference in the 8 games he played compared to the first 8 games of the season. So, like I said, I don't see, and everyone talking, when you're a bad team sometimes when people want to talk about is the intrinsic value of a player. He brings hidden talent. I don't want hidden talent. Like I've said a million times, I want Pro Bowlers. I want guys that are going to play. I want guys that are going to make everyone around them better, and I don't see Leonard Williams doing that. But for Leonard Williams to come in and say he is not a defensive tackle, if you take a look between the Giants and the Jets, he had 729 defensive snaps. 466 of those snaps were lined up either as a defensive tackle or a nose tackle. 466. Now, when he came to the Giants, he was mostly used as a defensive tackle in our multiple front 3-4 defense. And honestly, he does not look like a defensive end. He's at 302 pounds. I mean, he's more of a tackle. And he wants to be paid as a defensive end. Well, you know what? More than likely, we're going to be playing a multiple hybrid 3-4 again, so he's probably going to be lined back up into the defensive tackle position. So technically, and first of all, I shouldn't say is right off the bat, you cannot blame Leonard Williams for wanting more money. I cannot blame any NFL player for wanting more money because I've seen firsthand the abuse that these guys take, even through training camp. I mean, I can tell you some stories going back to 2003 in the Tampa Bay training camps over at the Celebration. Well, they stayed at the Celebration Hotel in Celebration, Florida, but they were at the Wide World of Resorts in Disney. But the physical toll these guys take, both mentally and, like I said, and physically, is unbelievable. So I do not fault anyone for going out and getting their money, but I do fault them for not being realistic about their value. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue still has not been traded, but because no one wants to pay him the $20 million. You have Jadeveon Clowney still sitting out in the free agent market because, again, nobody wants to pay him his asking price. But you have Leonard Williams turning around and saying, hey, listen, I'm worth 17.8 million. You're not. You're not at all. And now that the tender has been signed, we're stuck with you for this entire year. And I'm not saying that he's not going to have a good season. I'm not saying that he is not maybe going to reach the Pro Bowl level, but I just get worried with teams when they say, well, we're going to tap into that potential. How many times has a player been traded in any sport who has talent when the next organization says that we are going to tap into that talent and they never do? A good example right now in basketball is Dennis Smith Jr. We traded the unicorn, and we were going to tap into the talent of Dennis Smith when we should have drafted him ahead of Frank Nianakita, and we didn't. So we have them both on the team. We're always tapping into their hidden talent. That never works. I shouldn't say it never works, but the majority of the time it does not work. It's like I said, you need to know your worth. And right now, we're relying on, after the draft and after free agency, unless something happens and something changes, we are relying on Leonard Williams to come in and get the rush. Yeah, we took a lot of linebackers around 6 and 7, but if you go back to 95, only 15% of 6th and 7th round draft choices make the team right out of camp and contribute. Most of them end up on the practice squad. So there was another YouTuber, I was watching a video the other day. He nailed it. You throw it. It seems like we're throwing, darts at the dartboard and hoping that we hit. And that's not the way you want to. It's not a way you want to build a roster. That's the way you build a roster when you don't have the talent. So, Leonard, it is what it is. We're going to end up paying him either way. I think Gettleman, we've done a video before. Gettleman was and we've confirmed this with multiple sources, that Gettleman was basically competing against himself to get Leonard Williams. Now, like I said, I'll look like an idiot if Leonard Williams gets 10.5 sacks. But you know what? I'd rather have Marcus Golden back. I'd rather take a 1-year deal on Javion and give him $17.5 million. In some ways we could potentially if we would have rescinded the tag, we might have been able to get Clowney and Marcus Golden back. And I'm not even a huge Marcus Golden fan because I think he's more of a system player with Betcher. But you know what? He still generated a pass rush on a bad team. And just for fun, I wanted to look at some of the players the Giants could have been drafted. We were at, like I said, we had to wait almost the third round. We picked number 68. So I forget, was it like 50 something picks between our second round pick and our third round pick, and just some of the players that that went. You got to look at it. Poor Zach Bond didn't go till 74th. He could have been someone that we could have taken a look at. That's something we could, that's something that we could see. They had Josh Jones out of Houston. He went over to the Cardinals. I think he's got more of an upside in reference to the offensive line than some of the other players we drafted. But you know what? The kid out of Temple was still there, center out of Temple. So, and then you take a look at, I can't remember, he went to the Jets, the defensive end from Florida. He's definitely, he has a high upside as a pass rusher on the defensive end. He had an ankle injury, which let him fall. Our buddy Lloyd Cushenberry was still there. That's if we had the Leonard Williams pick back. And then if you want to take a look at linebacker, Terrell Lewis from Alabama. Another promising, he's a guy that is an edge. He could really help as an edge rusher. So, and the people say, well, are any of those third round picks going to be more talented than Leonard Williams? We don't know, because you don't know anything about the draft. As you could tell by my draft video, I think a lot of people disagreed with it. and I got bashed by a lot of people for it. But you know what? There's a line from Remember the Titans with Julius Campbell, and he said, honesty ain't a high priority on your people's list. Which means, we're not looking at the draft in its entirety. We're looking at it as fans. And I laugh because if you look at some of the fan sites, it's an A. If you look at some of the people that are actually NFL insiders, it's a B to a C+. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there. It's called my opinion, guys. You don't like it. You don't like my whiny voice. You don't think I'm manly. Then go watch somebody else. Don't really care. I do this for fun. I do this for people who want a perspective of the Giants that may not be the ones that they see on YouTube where everything is awesome. No, everything's not awesome. We had 3 bad years in a row. We had 1 good year in between the Coughlin-McAdoo fiasco. Yeah, we're drafting some talent, but our talent from 3 years ago better start paying off because I've always said you can't really judge a draft class until year 3. So let's hope those guys from Gettleman's first class turn the corner. If you could sit there and say, well, taking another corner was a brilliant move when you just spent 4 or 5 picks and brought in a guy, the Xavier move, I 100% understand, I 100% get. But if you take a look at the kid from UConn, he's a reach pick, to my mind, in the 3rd round. He has hands issue. He has weight placement issues. He's tall. He's lean. He's going to get pushed around. He's going to get pushed around in the pass rush. If you watch the UCF game last year, he got manhandled. But we hope he progresses. We hope Joe Judge teaches him up. We hope so the rest of the staff does the same. And that's all we can hope for as Giant fans. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you could like, if you could subscribe, if you could ring the bell, if you could do all those fun things, that would be awesome.